Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at someone clearly brilliant, someone who aced every exam, who everyone said was going places, and wondered, why are they struggling? Maybe that person is someone you know. Maybe that person is you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth nobody talks about. Being smart is not enough. In fact, in some cases, being smart can actually work against you. And I know that sounds strange, but stay with me, because once you understand why this happens, everything starts to make sense. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the real reasons why highly intelligent people often end up stuck, frustrated, or underperforming, while people who seemed average in school somehow build incredible lives. This isn't about putting smart people down. It's about identifying the hidden traps that intelligence creates, so you can avoid them, or if you're already in one, climb out. Let's get into it. The first reason is probably the most common one. Smart people love to think. They analyze, they plan, they research, and that's genuinely useful, up to a point. But there's a pattern I've noticed, and honestly, I've fallen into this myself. The more intelligent you are, the easier it is to stay inside your head and convince yourself that thinking is the same as progress. It's not. A person of average ability who takes imperfect action every single day will outrun a genius who spends months crafting the perfect plan. Every time. There's even a name for this. It's sometimes called analysis paralysis. And smart people are especially vulnerable to it because their minds can generate so many possibilities, so many what ifs, so many scenarios that making a decision starts to feel impossible. The fix? Simple. Set a thinking deadline. Give yourself 48 hours to decide, then act, even if it feels incomplete. Here's an irony that almost nobody talks about. Smart people, people who've built their entire identity around being the one who gets it, are often terrified of being wrong. Because if you've been praised your whole life for being clever, then being wrong doesn't just feel like a mistake. It feels like a threat to who you are. So what happens? They avoid challenges where they might fail. They stick to what they're already good at. They play it safe. Psychologist Carol Dweck calls this a fixed mindset, the belief that your intelligence is a fixed trait you have to protect, rather than a skill you can grow. And the people who end up thriving, they often have what she calls a growth mindset. They're not afraid to look like a beginner, because they know that's how you eventually become an expert. The question to ask yourself is this: are you making decisions to protect your image or to build your future? This one is subtle, but it's powerful. Success, in almost any field, is deeply relational. It depends on trust, collaboration, communication, showing up for people. And here's where smart people sometimes stumble. They can undervalue emotional intelligence because they've been rewarded so often for cognitive intelligence. They assume logic will win every room. It won't. I once read about a study where researchers tracked students from elite universities over 20 years. The ones who rose to leadership positions weren't necessarily the top scorers. They were the ones who were genuinely curious about other people, who listened well, and who made others feel seen. Your IQ can get you in the room, but your emotional awareness determines what happens once you're there. Smart people tend to think in big ideas, which is wonderful, but big ideas without concrete steps are just daydreams in disguise. I want to be successful. I want to build something meaningful. I want to make an impact. These are beautiful intentions, but they're not goals. They have no deadline, no measurement, no next action. Meanwhile, the person who says, I will send 5 emails to potential clients by Thursday, that person is moving. That person is building something real. Intelligence can actually make this worse, because smart people can articulate their vague goals so beautifully that it feels like clarity. It isn't. Make your goals embarrassingly specific. That's where execution lives. I'll start when I'm ready. I'll launch when it's perfect. I just need a little more time. Smart people are especially good at rationalizing delay because they can see all the things that could go wrong, and so waiting feels responsible. Logical? Even. But here's the thing. The right moment almost never arrives on its own. You have to create it by starting before you feel ready. If you wait until you're fully prepared, life will pass you by while you're still preparing. Now, a quick warning. As you work through these patterns, don't swing too far in the other direction. Acting without any reflection is just as dangerous. The goal isn't to abandon your intelligence. It's to put it in service of action, not in place of it. Also, don't use this video as another reason to overthink. Pick one of these patterns that resonates most with you right now and address that one first. So, to bring it all together, smart people often fail not because they lack ability, but because they confuse thinking with doing, because they fear failure more than they value growth, because they underestimate relationships, because their goals stay too abstract, and because they keep waiting for a perfect moment that never comes. Intelligence is a gift, but it needs direction, humility, and action to actually become something in the real world. Here's what I want you to do after this video. Don't just nod along and move on. Pick one pattern from this list that you recognize in yourself. Write it down. Then write one small action you can take in the next 24 hours to push back against it. That's it. Just one step. Because the gap between smart people who struggle and smart people who thrive isn't talent. It's the willingness to act on what they know. You already have the intelligence. Now use it. If this video gave you something to think about, and more importantly, something to do, go ahead and like it. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe if you want more content like this every week. Here's what I want to leave you with. Pick the one pattern that hit closest to home. Write it down somewhere you'll actually see it. And then take that one small step in the next 24 hours. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because now is the only moment that ever actually belongs to you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.